Okay, great. Glad to be here. I am with the React team. Technically I work for Family and Children's First Council of Franklin County, and we joined the React team in 2018, I believe, through a grant. And my role on the team is to really assist with families who have children impacted by the substance use disorder, and to do trainings for first responders on the neurosequential model, predominantly on how our brains respond to stress. So that's me. I'm a social worker by profession. I am here with Lieutenant Tolliver, and he's going to start out talking a little bit about what Rapid Response Emergency Addictive Crisis Team is and the co-responder model. So I'm going to let him take over.
And we just wanted to give you a little bit of background about React before Eve gets going. So the React team is a rapid response emergency addiction crisis team. We are a co-responder model, and basically we respond to any referrals, or if we're in the area, we'll also respond to active run if there's any kind of substance use nexus. Originally, we just targeted folks who had non-fatal overdoses, but since then we've kind of grown and we kind of just go follow up on every run that has anything to do with substance use disorder. Our team is made up of co-responders, so we do have Columbus Police, we have paramedics, we have social workers and clinicians. We all wear plain clothes, so no one really knows who's what on our team, but we drive fire SUVs, so it's obvious that we're with the fire department, which for us has worked out great because, fire knocks on the door, usually the door's open, and it makes it easier to engage folks. Usually our hours are actually 7 to 4, Monday through Friday. We do some evenings and weekends, mainly in the summer. As everyone knows, it gets dark pretty early. We don't like knocking on doors in the dark, especially in some of the neighborhoods where we see most of the overdoses occur. We're just looking out for safety for our whole team. And like I said, we will jump active runs if we're close to them. And the model has been great. We've grown. We started in 2017. We've just grown year after year after year. And we have been able to add folks like Eve, knocking on the doors, finding grandparents. They need some resources. Eve was like one of the first organizations that we reached out to. As well, we do a lot of harm reduction in the community. So we go to a lot of different events, especially the bigger events. So we can do some harm reduction there, from everything from Narcan, fentanyl test strips, to doing hands-only CPR on mannequins and just teaching folks how to do that. And then we do have an alumni group. So everyone we get into treatment, we do a monthly sobriety event. It could be anything from a chili cook-off to we have Friendsgiving coming up next week. And we usually have at least 75 to 100 people attend our sober events as well. So those are kind of the three big pillars that we operate on. And this just talks a little bit more about what I said. We already do the targeted outreach. We do a lot of linkage to any kind of resource. If somebody wants to go to treatment, we will transport to treatment inside and outside the county. We've gone up to Cleveland. We've gone down to Cincinnati. On average, we transport about 400 folks to treatment a year. And we'll link people to any other social services that they might need at the time.
I would add that a big part of the team has been really developing relationships with the providers in the community, so that we really kind of have easy access to getting folks into recovery services. And that's been really awesome. The team really vets the providers, right? Because they need to be assured that folks are really going to get good care and respectful care. And so we take time to vet those providers and establish those relationships so that we really can get people into care pretty quickly. So they do have ongoing support through a case manager. Lieutenant Tolliver's like, okay, I'm off camera. So that can provide, it's not just about getting them into care, but it's that ongoing piece, which is really important. And it's really been awesome to see the alumni group and how much that has taken off, how many people come and attend those events, because those connections really are important to their ongoing recovery. And then we do provide support to families and children who are impacted by the substance use disorder. So the goal in terms of providing that support really is prevention, right? We want these children who are impacted by those adverse childhood experiences and the presence of substance use to really have the right kinds of skills that will mitigate those experiences so that they can be successful and that they won't fall into kind of this piece of substance use disorder. So now, here's the thing. I do a lot of the training, and I know that there was some interest in kind of hearing a little bit about that training. It is based on Dr. Bruce Perry's concepts of the neurosequential model. I have a certification in the neurosequential model for educators and therapists, and much of the content that we train on comes from him. If you're not familiar with Dr. Perry, it's Dr. Bruce Perry. He is a physician who has done lots of research on the impact of childhood neglect and trauma on brain development. And he's developed these models that really talk about how we can begin to mitigate some of those experiences. He's pretty fascinating. And if you Google him, lots of stuff will come up. When our training begins and focuses on really how first responders can incorporate the content into their work and into their personal lives. That's been a real interesting, I think, from my perspective, has been how quickly first responders begin to apply the content to their own lives and to their own families. And that's awesome because, we have first responders who really are struggling because of the experiences that they've had, and their health is compromised, and we need to be able to mitigate all of that. So we start out our training really talking about that adverse childhood experiences and that its impact to our overall health. And then we really move into talking about how our brains develop, the functions of 4 key elements of our brain, and how those elements, how those 4 parts of our brain respond when we are in stress, and how we can really, what are some of the strategies that we can use to make sure that we can get folks from a more primitive part of their brain, responding from a more primitive part of their brain, how can they get to a place where they can respond from their cortex and the more rational executive functioning part of their brain? So that's the predominantly kind of what the training does. We do talk about building skills of resilience, and then give them strategies about how they can actually help someone and themselves regain focus if they are recognizing that they or someone that they're working with is responding from a more primitive part of their brain. So I'm amazed. I think I stayed within my 12 minutes. That's kind of phenomenal because normally I'm can talk forever on this stuff. I will put a plug in if people want to come to Columbus, Ohio. We do this training. It's generally about 5 hours. We schedule from 9 to 3. We sometimes get done a little bit early. We do provide CEs to medics so that they can get credit for it. Nurses through Mount Carmel provides that service for us. We do the training just about every other month, and we have a training that is on Eventbrite for December the 11th. So if people would be interested, it's a free training. Anybody can join, sign up through Eventbrite, or I can put my contact information in the chat so that you all can have that as well. And then that would, yeah, you could contact me if you have further questions. But I guess I can open it up to questions.